Welcome to Professor Ortlieb's Bluebook Podcast, a series of podcasts designed to teach 1L students the basics of legal citation using the Bluebook. In the last lesson, I introduced you to the structure of the Bluebook and citation placement. In this episode, I will introduce basic case citation. I will discuss Bluebook Rules 10, 10.2, 10.31b, and 10.3.2. I will also introduce Blue Pages Rules B2 and B10. While watching this podcast, you'll want to have a copy of your Bluebook to follow along. You'll also want pencil and paper to work through the practice questions at the end of the lesson. Let's look at Bluebook Rule 10. The most basic case citation contains three elements. First is the case name, which is either underlined or italicized, and followed by a comma. The second component of your case cite will be the reporter coordinates. These numbers and letters tell your readers where they can find the case to read the opinion in full. The third and final basic component is a parenthetical at the end containing the abbreviations for the jurisdiction, the name of the court, and the year of the decision. After the close of the parenthetical, the cite is ended with a period. You'll recall from the prior lesson that we try to place cites in citation sentences. Well, just as a standard sentence needs an end mark like a period, a citation sentence needs ending punctuation as well. Over the next few lessons, we will dive deeper and deeper into these three basic components. Let's start our first close examination with case names. The rules for formatting your case name in a citation can be found in Rule 10.2. Rule 10.2 has two subsets of rules for abbreviating the words that might make up your case name. Rule 10.2.1 provides the rules for writing a case name in a textual sentence. That is, it shows you what to eliminate and abbreviate when writing a case name in your ordinary prose. Rule 10.2.2 provides the rules for writing case names in citation sentences. Remember, when looking at the examples in the white pages, they may not contain italics or underscore. When reading these white pages rules, make sure you also read the equivalent rules in the blue pages. The equivalent rule in the blue pages is Rule B 10.1.1. These practitioner notes tell us to underline the case name up to, but not including the comma that follows the case name. List the names in the same order as they are given at the top of an opinion. When choosing the names to include, you'll use only the first party listed on each side of the verses, which we'll abbreviate as a V period. In addition, list only the first set of plaintiffs and defendants. For names of individuals, use only the last name, omitting given names and initials. Let's work on an example. Here you can see a caption of a case as it might appear on a Westlaw or Lexis printout. Based on the information you see here, which of the following four answers is correct? First, you should eliminate answer C because it lists both plaintiffs, so you know that can't be right. You're only supposed to list the first party named on either side of your verses. Next, we can eliminate answer D, because it is using the second set of plaintiffs and defendants. This case is actually two cases consolidated together. In a consolidated matter, use only the names from the first listed parties. That leaves us with A and B. The correct answer is B. A contains the correct parties and uses only surnames, but the case name is not underlined as required by the practitioner's notes. The next component of your case cite is the reporter information. White Pages Rule 10.3.2 gives us the rules for formatting this information. But wait a minute, we might be getting ahead of ourselves. What is a reporter? Well, Cases are printed in books called reporters. Reporters contain published cases from a given jurisdiction or even a set of jurisdictions. Publishers organize cases in these reporters chronologically in a series of volumes. Once they have enough cases to fill a book, they start a new one. So with 3 pieces of information, coordinates if you will, you can find any case. The 3 elements that make up these coordinates are first, the volume number, followed by the name of the reporter, followed by the page number where the case begins. By providing this information, abbreviating the name of the reporter as necessary, your reader will know where to find the case that you're citing. So where do you find the abbreviations for reporters? That would be in Table T1. T1 contains the reporter names and abbreviations for every U.S. jurisdiction. Federal courts are listed first, starting with the Supreme Court. You'll be able to find the reporter information for states in T1.3. States are listed alphabetically. This example here is a portion of the entry for New Jersey. You can see that the first court listed in the entry is the Court of Last Resort. Here, the Supreme Court of New Jersey. Under the court name, you see 3 columns. This left column lists the name of the reporters that have published cases from this court. The far right-hand column lists the abbreviations for those reporters. The central column lists the coverage dates for each reporter. What you might notice here is that you can find New Jersey Supreme Court opinions in 2 different reporters. So which should you use? Rule 10.3.1b defines parallel citation and tells us which reporter we should use in those citations. For ordinary memos, you're only going to need to cite 1 reporter. Table T1 tells you which reporter to use. The entry in T1 says to cite to Atlantic A here, Atlantic 2nd, or Atlantic 3rd if they're in. This means that if the opinion appears in the Atlantic reporter, that's the one that you should use. You may need to cite a case that doesn't appear in the first listed reporter. In that case, use one of the other listed reporters. They're actually arranged in preferential order in each T1. If the case is not available in a listed reporter, you can cite to a database, service, slip opinion, or other reliable internet or print source. There is an exception to the parallel citation rule for memos. If a state has adopted a public domain format, you must provide a parallel cite. To find out whether a jurisdiction has adopted a public domain format, look it up in T1. In this sample entry from Illinois, you can see that after June 2011, Illinois cases have a public domain format. So if you were citing a case decided after June 31st, 2011, you would need to provide a public domain cite, followed by a Northeastern reporter cite. Now let's put your newfound knowledge to the test with a few practice exercises. Once the question appears, pause the podcast and try to write your answer. Once you are finished with your answer, resume the podcast for the correct answer and an explanation. You're citing this case in an ordinary legal memo. Use an underline to show either underscore or italics. Use hashtag/pound signs to indicate your spacing, unless you happen to be typing in Courier. Do you think you have the answer? The correct answer is Riding Hood v. Wolf. Don't forget to put your space after your Riding Hood and after the period in V. That whole name needs to be underscored up to, but not including, the comma. After the case name, you place a space, write the volume number, 495, space, the abbreviation for the jurisdiction reporter, U.S. space, first page of the opinion, which is 594. In this example, I've shown it to you with the pound signs or hashtags to show spacing. The second example is typed in Courier, where you can more clearly see the spacing without the hashtags. Now, you might have been a little confused on which reporter to use, so let's take a look once again at T1.1. In this example here from T1.1, you see that the Supreme Court needs to cite to U.S. if therein. Well, we were given that reporter, so that's the only one we used. We left out any other reporter information that we were given in the question. Let's try another practice question. Again, pause this podcast until you've completed your answer. Here's your answer. Did you remember to underline only the name of the case and not the comma after the name? Did you pick the correct reporter? And did you use only one reporter? You might have been confused because just a few moments ago we talked about Illinois public domain sites. But remember, not every Illinois case has such a site. Only cases after June 31st, 2011 will have that public domain format. You needed only the Northeastern Reporter information for your case site here. You've now completed Bluebook Lesson 1 and should be ready to tackle your homework. If you have any questions, please see Professor Ortlieb or a TA.